Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Czech Tier 10 Premium Tank Destroyer, the DBV-152, which is the tank that you will pick up in the Ultimate Season Pass for 6,000 gold. Now if you do like the video as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the DBV-152, you are essentially getting a Tier 10 Premium for 4,000 gold, as you do get 2,000 gold back for completing the Season Pass, which is always a good deal because usually Tier 10 Premiums are about 14, 15, 16, 17, 18k plus, so picking one up for 4,000 is always a pretty decent deal if you do like your Tier 10 Premiums, especially one that's like this, because this is a really solid stealthy tank destroyer. It's very similar to the Taran, but just generally worse. But that's not a bad thing because the Taran is still very, very powerful. This thing is still really, really well balanced generally with it. You've got good gun handling. Your penetration is worse than the Taran. Your camouflage is ever so slightly worse than the Taran, but it's not much in it really. You actually have a slower top speed than the Taran, but you get there faster. Generally, it just feels more mobile than the Taran does because the Taran feels a bit sluggish in terms of getting to its top speed. And you still hit for 800 alpha as opposed to the 850. Generally, like I say, it's been really, really solid. I've really enjoyed this vehicle because it's got that good camo. You can rely on that quite reliably. Your gun will generally hit a lot of shots that you sit there going, nice, that hit that maybe the Taran wouldn't hit. But also, it does have that derpier streak at times where you sit there going, really, RNG? Really? Did you have to miss that? You hit hard with the 800 alpha. Your DPM is ever so slightly worse than the Taran, but it's still pretty good DPM. And then on top of that, your penetration is enough to go through most vehicles you're going to face, which is pretty decent as well. On the whole, it's just a pretty solid tank destroyer, if we're honest. So let's get into the statistics of the DBV-152. So as you can see, you've got 52 km/h top speed, 14 km/h reverse speed, 700 horsepower engine, which is 20.59 horsepower per ton ratio. So you do get to the top speed very, very easily, and as you've got 2 on soft, 1.2 on medium, and 1.1 on firm, the terrain resistances don't really hold the tank back either. The mobility on this vehicle is actually pretty nice, and that's where I say it's slightly better than the Taran. Yes, the Taran actually has a better top speed at 63 km/h, but this thing gets there way faster. The Taran feels a bit sluggish at times, and honestly, unless you're going downhill, you don't often get near 60. So this thing is a lot nicer in terms of that mobility. 15% internal fire chances in the middle of fire chances, and I haven't really been set on fire yet in this vehicle. I've just jinxed it. I know I've just jinxed it. It is what it is. You got 28 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, which is neither fast nor is it slow. You could help that out with clutch braking if it annoys you. And 24 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is also getting onto the slower end of turret rotations, and it is a turreted tank destroyer. Generally, turreted tank destroyers have worse turret traverse, so 24 degrees is a bit slow. I do help it out with rapid aim to make that turret traverse that little bit faster, as it can be a bit annoying. You've got 326 meters of still concealment with 367 on the move concealment. So when you're on the move in this thing, and especially even if you're running the improved concealment, you're still quite easy to spot when you are moving into position. But once you're fully set up, you can get that down to about 287 meters of still concealment without a camo net. It's with the improved concealment. And that means that even in the bush cover and stuff like that, you are very, very stealthy, and it's still pretty hard to spot this thing, especially if you're running a flash hider and firing through bush cover and stuff like that. So this thing can be really nice with its camo. You can get it even better with a camo net, but again, it's down to you really and how you want to play it. 370 meters of view range is on the low end of view range, especially for tier 10, and that means this thing can be a bit blind at times. You can get it above the 445 meter spotting cap, but it's still a bit blind at times, and that means you can get outspotted quite easily, or you don't spot things at the ranges that you expect to spot, which is, again, the Taran has slightly better view range than you, so that will easily spot things that bit easier. But again, you could run the binoculars instead of the optics to be able to get even higher view range than 452 when you have it fully kitted out. You've got 1.57 accuracy during rotation with a 5.01 accuracy during movement. As a pair, atrocious. It means this aim circle blooms out massively, like absolutely massive aim circle when you're on the move and turning the tank. But difference to something like the Taran, which if we were to go have a quick look at the old Taran, it's got a 2.59 second aim time when fully kitted out. Yeah, we've got a 1.6 second aim time, which is absolutely incredible. And it means the aim circle shrinks on this vehicle very, very quickly. And it's one of the trade-offs. This thing loses quite a bit but gains way better gun handling in general than the Taran, so it just feels less unwieldy when you are firing this 152mm gun. That 1.6 second aim time is very, very good and helps to get this gun aimed in very quickly. And you've got 0.32 accuracy at 100 meters as well, which means this gun is actually really accurate when you get it fully aimed in, which means, like I say, the general gun performance of this vehicle is a lot better than the Taran. A lot better. You've also got 7 degrees of gun depression, which again is 2 degrees better than the Taran. And it's not fabulous, but it's not bad. It's one of those where some ridge lines it can be very, very awkward, and some ridge lines you're absolutely fine. You're better than other vehicles that have 5 degrees of gun depression. 7 degrees is always one of those that I think it's not one that you sit there going, yeah, this has got good gun depression, but it's not one that you sit there going, oh my lord, this is terrible, you know. You've got 17.8 second reload, which is 2.6, well, it's very nearly 2,700 DPM, which is alright DPM. You get it up to about 3,000 odd when you get it fully equipped out, which is good enough, and you can just consistently push out damage with this very, very good gun on this tank. 281mm of penetration on the standard AP, 330 on the heat rounds, and 76 on the HE. The HE has 980 alpha, the AP and the heat have 800 alpha, as you do have standard AP rounds, premium heat rounds, and HE. So 281, naturally, is a little bit lower than quite a few tank destroyers at tier 10. A lot of them are pushing 290, 300. But it's still very good penetration, and that won't struggle to go through a lot of vehicles. And if you do struggle to go through them, just load the 330 heat pen, and the 330 heat pen will butcher most vehicles, which is great. 1,160 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP is nice. That's better than the Taran as well, which again helps the gun handling to feel that little bit nicer, as you don't have to give quite as much lead distance as you do in something like the Taran. It's good it's good ammo speed, it's good shell velocity, but it's not exceptional shell velocity. Just bear in mind that if you have the heat or the HE in at 880, it's a lot slower than the AP. You have to give a lot more lead distance to be able to hit your targets with that, and it's below the 1,000 meters a second average, which is, yeah, getting on to the point where you're starting to think, oh, this is a little bit slow. And as it is a tier 10 premium, it doesn't really get any bonuses to speak of. So if you were looking for this to be a silver owner or something like that, it's not that. So let's have a look at the modules of the DBV-152. So that's where the engine block is, and I have had the engine damaged in this thing a couple of times, but I've never really been set on fire through it, which is definitely something that's been okay, but again, I'm jinxing it, absolutely jinxing it. That's where the ammo rack sits in this thing, and I have seen one or two actually get their... I've not had my lid popped, but I've seen one or two get their lid popped by being shot straight underneath the turret there, so do be aware of that. That is where the ammo racks are. If you want to try and damage them, shoot it straight underneath the turret ring. And that is where the crew sits in the DBV-152. In terms of the armour, well, it is a stealthy turreted tank destroyer. It really doesn't have much armour. It's going to get absolutely butchered by pretty much everything that shoots at it. The only thing that you have going for you is you have a gun module. Yes, I'm adding that in, because occasionally people will just shoot the gun and then you get lucky in that regard. And the other thing is you have the occasional bit of angling on the turret and stuff like that, which means you can occasionally ricochet shots that you sit there going, whew, how did I ricochet that? I don't know. I'm just going to take my luck and run with it, you know? It's one of those. Generally, though, it will get absolutely butchered as it doesn't really have any armour. And if we have a look at the side, what's the side armour on this thing? Can it even... No. It's got 30mm of side armour, so it can't even have a baity side scrape, because it's going to get overmatched on the side armour by most vehicles it's going to face as well, so that's pure pain. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on this vehicle? Well, in terms of the equipment, currently, by the way, there is a slight bug in the game, which means that the stats won't update if you put in equipment and stuff like that, but it tends to refresh if you put in a crew. So when you put equipment and stuff like that on it, generally it will update the stats, but it will just refresh when you get there. Hopefully that'll be fixed very, very quickly. So we've got the advanced loader, the optics, the improved concealment, and then the flash hider. Flash hider to decrease the effect of firing on a camo by 35%, and trust me, that is very, very handy for a tank destroyer like this. And especially when you're in those bush cover areas, it means it's the lifeblood. It means you can not get spotted that easily, and you can just keep firing away, which is exactly what this vehicle wants. The improved concealment to get the best out of the camo that you can possibly get, so that we can have the good concealment while on the move, as well as when we're stationary, because it does obviously help the on-the-move concealment as well as the stationary concealment. And then we've got optics to be able to get slightly better view range and get it up to about 452 when we've got the crew in, so that we can try and at least spot for ourselves. And again, we don't have to post up for 3 seconds to be able to get the view range we need to be able to spot for ourselves. And then the advanced load to get the best out of the DPM, which is something you want to do on this kind of tank destroyer. And then in terms of a crew for this vehicle, we have stuck it in the VZ-55. Let's go put it in the DBV. I run Born Leader, Situational Awareness, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Camouflage Expertise, Green Thumb, Radio Jamming, Expert Gunner, and Rapid Aim. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse 10% faster, because again, it is a bit slow, and it's one of those things that kind of annoys me, so I do make it that little bit quicker with the Rapid Aim. Expert Gunner to increase the chance of doing module damage by 6%, as well as decreasing the effective distance on our penetration by 25%, although it's not too much of an issue really for this tank with AP, but realistically we're more just increasing the chance of doing module damage. The radio jamming to get unspotted 3 seconds faster, because again, for this stealthy kind of tank destroyer that doesn't want to take too many hits, it's one of those key things of getting unspotted as quickly as possible so that you can then go and hide somewhere or go find a better position where you're not going to get spotted. Green Thumb to increase our camouflage in a bush, and then the camouflage expertise to increase our general concealment on this vehicle so that we can get as good a concealment as humanly possible. And especially when we're in foliage and using the camo mechanics correctly, we are going to be a royal pain to be able to spot as well, which is very handy for this tank. Run and Gun and Snapshot to make the accuracy during rotation and movement that little bit better, because again, it is very, very poor on this vehicle, so we want to run both of those so that the aim circle doesn't bloom out as badly as it would without them. And then these two I'm basically taking on pretty much every tank in World War II. So, in terms of the statistics now for the DBV-152, while it's fully kitted out, it's got 52 km our top speeds. Like I say, they've got the same horsepower, or the same power to weight ratio, which means you get to the top speed fairly easily. Ground resistances have got a little bit better, even though we've not done too much to be able to help them out. We've now got 287 meters of still concealment on this vehicle and 332 on the move concealment. So we've lost about 30 meters of on the move concealment with the improved concealment, which is good. That was a lot of concealments in one word or in one sentence, but there we go. But yeah, 287 meters of still concealment is really nice. And like I say, if you're in those bush cover with the Green Thumb and stuff like that, it is a pretty stealthy tank destroyer, and it's quite difficult to actually be able to spot it. But it doesn't have the best of view ranges, as you do have 452 meters of view range. But like I say, it means you can spot things past the 445 meter spotting cap. It's just a lot more difficult to actually spot things at a decent distance. And you'll find that quite a few things can actually sneak past you, and you really need some of your teammates to actually go spot for you. Your turret rotation is now at 27.79 degrees a second, which is getting as close as possible to the hull rotation speed. It is a little bit faster, and it is definitely faster than it was when it was not kitted out, so it's definitely nicer. 1.55 accuracy during rotation with a 4.27 accuracy during movement are better than it was, meaning that, again, the aim circle doesn't bloom out quite as badly as it once did. You've also got 1.53 second aim time now instead of 1.6, which again is superbly quick, and this gun aims in supremely fast, and that is lovely for the DBV-152. 0.31 accuracy at 100 meters instead of 0.32. Again, this gun is very, very accurate when you get it fully aimed in. And a 15.79 second reload is 3040 DPM, which, like I say, is pretty decent DPM. It's not incredible DPM, but it's pretty decent DPM for this kind of Alpha TD. But yeah, on the whole, like I say, the DBV-152 is really, really solid. I do think this thing is just a very well-balanced, stealthy tank destroyer. It's neither too strong nor is it too weak. You can use the camo, and if you use your concealment correctly, you will be able to stay undetected quite easily and just keep pummeling shots out in this vehicle. It's one of those tanks that is just very generally nice to play. But like I say, it is just slightly worse than the Taran. You've just got to think of a Taran that is just slightly worse, which is nothing to cry about, because like I say, this thing is still, even though it's been nerfed, this thing is still ridiculously strong, and it's one of the strongest TDs at tier 10 still. But yeah, so as you can see, you're 303 pen, 395 on the heat for the Taran. It's 281 to 330 on the DBV. 850 alpha, 1100, 800 and 980. You got 52 km an hour top speed. This has got 63, 476 on the view range, and then 284 on the concealment. That's 452 and 287. But like I say, that's where the gun handling is a lot better on this vehicle, because you got 4.27 on the accuracy during movement, 1.55 accuracy during rotation, 0.31 on the gun handling, whereas the Taran has the 0.35 on the gun handling. It's got slightly better accuracy during movement, but slightly worse accuracy during rotation, and that aim time is 2.6. So the aim circle on this thing does bloom out badly, just like the DBV, but it takes a lot longer to get this gun fully aimed in. The reload, as you can see, is 15.61 on the Taran, which is 3.2, nearly 3.3k DPM, and it's about the same time on the reload. Yeah, well, nearly. It's actually slightly quicker with the 15.79 on the DBV, which gives it that 3040 as well. So yeah, generally, if you want to know what this thing is going to be like, just think Taran, but slightly worse. That's my way of doing it. But if you're going to want to pick up a tier 10 tank destroyer for 4,000 gold from the Ultimate Season Pass, this is worthy. This is a very, very solid tier 10 tank destroyer, and it's not really going to be a disappointment, honestly. What I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, and just see if it's a bit of you or not. So as always, everybody, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the DBV-152. In this first replay, we're on a map that is not the best suited for this vehicle. But to be honest, because you've got that high alpha, you've got a gun that's pretty trusty, you can still make this kind of map work for you, because you're very, very good at playing peekaboo, which is something the higher alpha TDs like this can do pretty effectively. As we see something like an AVRE over there and go, hello, slap, run away. That's what this tank destroyer is very, very good at. And you saw the camo there as well. That guy didn't spot us until we fired, even though we were actually pretty close to him. That's what the camo is like for the DBV. It is a pretty solid camouflage on this vehicle. But yeah, you can play this kind of map pretty easily as well. You've just got to play peekaboo and be very, very patient with where you are going to be trying to take shots. So we're just going to try and blind fire the Leopard PTA there, but, well, sadly we didn't get the blind fire. We didn't really know where he'd crossed to. And we're only up to that 728 damage. We did get very lucky that the M6Y, I think it was, and the mouse didn't manage to get a shot into us, but we're just going to poke around to see if we can see a shot into it. So we're going for that turret cheek of the mouse. If we were firing premium, we could likely go through it, but with our AP, it's not as quite as easily able to go through it. He actually fired his multi-weapon system at us there. That wasn't even the 128, because he would have actually penned and tracked us, because he has a 128mm gun. We only have 30mm of side armor. He can't overmatch that. So that was actually a secondary weapon that he tracked us with there. So we went for the shot there into the AVRE to kill him. But his friend in the DBV-152 just drove straight into the shell and went, "Get down, Mr. President!" and saved the Centurion AVRE, which, you know what, if one of you wants to die, I'll take just killing one of you. So we're going for the shot into the cupola now of the AVRE, because the DBV is just covering the rest of his tank. Unfortunately, we bounce, but we do manage to bounce a shot there from the mouse. And again, we bounced the multi-weapon system there of the mouse. Is 75mm gun, which can't overmatch us because it's a 75mm, as it's got to be a 91mm caliber gun or higher to overmatch us. As you can see with the 110 bounced, it was the mouse's secondary weapon that we bounced. So again, we're just trying to move up now to get into a better position to be able to find a shot into someone's side, that sort of thing, because now we know that the AVRE and that is dead, we can move up. We get a shot into the side of the Leopard PTA. The Sturm Tiger's driven out in front of us, but we didn't really want to risk staying there for too long trying to get a shot into that guy, because, well, that Sturm Tiger's going to hurt. I'm watching the mouse, look at him going, is he going to drive out? Yes, he is, as we put a shot straight through the side of the mouse and then get ourselves nice and safe. We get kind of lucky there that the Sturm Tiger actually hit some destructible cover with his HE round. We could have just gone kaboom there, but thankfully it didn't happen. So we're going to aim up the shot. The mouse has decided to drive out sideways on in front of us again. We'll take the free damage. Thank you, Mr. Mouse. And the mouse is going to get safe again. I thought he was going to get shut down before he managed to get safe, but there we go. They've only got 2 tank destroyers left as well as the mouse, so we're going to go into where the healthier tanks are, because the mouse is probably going to die anyway, so I'm just hedging my bets that the DBV is going to last long enough to be able to get another shot in. So we're racing there, and as you can see, the mobility on this vehicle is really solid. It gets to its top speed very, very easily. Aim up the shot. As you can see, again, the aim circle shrinks really, really quickly in this tank. It does have a very, very nice aim time. And again, it's just the general gun handling on this vehicle feels very, very nice. And that's a big difference from this to something like the Taran, where the Taran's gun hits hard, for sure, and it doesn't really struggle to pen things, but it's very, very derpy at times. You sit there, or it feels very, very derpy at times. You sit there going, oh, come on, Taran. Whereas this thing doesn't quite have that. It just has the odd RNGesus moment where you sit there going, really? As we finished the first game with the 4.4k damage, and yeah, just a fairly decent game there at tier 10 for the DBV-152. So now we're into the second game, and the second game is pretty DBV heavy. I've tried my best to pick replays that aren't DBV heavy, because I have had some pretty decent, well, I say pretty decent. We've had a couple of good games in this vehicle, but there were games with 9, 10 DBVs in it, which is the way of the world when it's an Ultimate Pass tank. It always happens every time there's an Ultimate Pass tank. For a day or two, the matchmaker just absolutely floods with them, and you get 7, 8, 9 in a game at times, and it calms down by about the weekend usually. Unless it was the AVRE, because that tank was so stupid, but I digress. So, yeah, I've tried to pick the replays that don't have tons and tons and tons of them and can just show off the DBV in general. So we're on Comorin, which, again, it's a pretty good bad map for the DBV-152. Bad, because it's a pretty small map, and it's definitely not a Tier 10 map, if we're honest. This map does not suit Tier 10 whatsoever. But it's a good bad one, and that's because it's small, which means we're more likely to get into close quarters combat at times and have those awkward engagements where we struggle to be able to make the tank work because, well, it's a stealthy tank destroyer and we have to be quite close to people. But it's a good one because there is a lot of concealment on this map. There is a lot of foliage, which you can see here we can use and abuse to our own effect. We spotted this VK4502B, same as we did the Waffle E100. We've got a good amount of assistance right now, and we could also fire at that VKB without ever getting spotted, which was lovely. We've got 2.1k assistance damage with the 1561 damage so far, and I'm just trying to watch what I'm doing to see if, again, if I can keep poking over and spotting these guys at D8, that would be great, but also seeing if I can get any cheeky shots into people like this DBV that's in the middle that's going after our heavy tank in the can opener, but, well, he's just taken, yeah, he's been shut down by the DBV-152. So I know that every single time I poke over here, I'm basically spotting the guys at D8, but I'm also getting spotted myself, so we have to run away every single time, because the one thing that you never want to do, especially in a tank destroyer like this, or like Mr. Griller that sat behind us as well, is you never want to get spotted and then just sit there and go, oh, I'm spotted. I'll see if anything will give me a shot, because that's just a way to lose all of your hit points very, very quickly. I mean, naturally, for 1750 HP, you don't have the biggest HP at Tier 10, so you don't want to waste as much of your HP as possible. If you can waste 400 HP and slap someone for 800 alpha, sure, that's a trade, but you don't want to just sit there and take free shots. So as soon as you get spotted, like you see here, the detector goes off, I'm just full sending out. Get out of dodge. And that's why you want radio jamming as well, because naturally, if you're running radio jamming, you are getting unspotted that 3 seconds faster. It means that you can get unspotted quicker, not take a hit, and get out of dodge. So I decide, like I say, that position is just not working for me anymore. I'm getting spotted every single time. I'm not getting the opportunity to do anything. So I decide, okay, I'm going to move over to this position over here. We unfortunately missed the shot into the 705. I just need to get into near this rock so I'm safe. Something that was, I think that was the M48 120mm that actually just took a shot at us there. Thankfully, he missed us. The 705A started moving, and I thought, has he moved into the water now? And he has. So we're aim up at his lower plate, slap the shot him, 904. That's a roll there. But we'll take it. Again, you saw just how fast this gun aimed in. It is very, very nice for that we could just poke around, go straight into the lower plate, and then pull back to safety. He's now turning for everyone else. We put the shot into his side for 442, securing our first kill of this game. We're up to 2,900 damage with 2,100 assistance damage as well. We're at, what, 5k combined? Pretty solid game so far. I see the contender in the distance. I think, okay, let's see if we can get a shot into the side of this contender, help the heavy tank out. We can. We try and snap the shot into his side. It ricochets off the top of his turret. We had time there to aim. And again, we should have had that little bit of patience. We've got the 1.53 second aim time. It aims in supremely quickly. I could have had an extra 700-800 damage there if I just waited. But we still get the 300 damage into the kill there for the contender. Again, patience. Patience is key for this kind of tank destroyer. We should have waited and put the shot in. I just thought with the two TDs next to me at E45, and the fact that I could see him so easily, that guy was just going to blow up, and we weren't going to get the opportunity to actually shoot him. So the two TDs at the back get shut down. We knew there was a waffle over here, so we put the shot into the waffle's armor there, into the hull armor. And you might be going, well, why didn't you just shoot for the turret or aim for the turret? It's a big spot to hit. It's very, very easy to hit. It's very easy to pan. Why did you go for the hull? I went for the hull because you're more likely to damage the ammo rack, but more than likely going to also damage the engine / fuel tanks of a Waffle E100. So if you're shooting them in the hull and you've got the side armor, that's generally where you want to kind of aim for, because you can try and actually set them on fire. And that's what we did to the Waffle E100. He just put it out super. He had an automatic fire extinguisher quite clearly. as we also pick up the kill on the Object 704. Finish the game with the 3 kills, 4.4k damage, the 1357 base XP as well, with the 2.1k assistance. That's what, 6.5k combined. Pretty solid game there for the second class in the DBV-152. And again, a map that's a good bad one for it. It's a good bad one because you've got the foliage. There's enough foliage to be able to use on Comorin that you can find nice spots to be able to farm without getting spotted. And that's exactly what the DBV-152 wants. But it's a bad one, naturally, because it's a very small map. It's very easy for people to have sight lines on you, and then you get spotted, and it's a very close quarters map, which is not the best for this tank. But we're on to the third map. And the third map is, yet again, just like Ensk. It's not the best map for the DBV-152, but again, because you've got the alpha, you've got the good gun handling, you can quite effectively use this vehicle on a map like this, because you can play that peek-a-boom game very, very easily. And you can just keep going, hello, bang, 800, pull back very easily, pull back round a corner, get safe, wait for them to forget about you, and then pop the shots in. This map is all about, well, this type of map for this tank is all about patience. Again, it's about patience. It's about waiting for the opportunity to get the shots in. It's about picking your and choosing your moments as to when to ambush people and hit them for 800. But also, this map has a bit of distance to it depending on the positions you take. So like here, because we've got the pretty good concealment at 287, we've got the muffled shot as well. It's not muffled shot, it's flash hider, isn't it? It's flash hider. Because we've got the flash hider, that sort of thing, it's a lot harder to spot us as if they're on that back ridge line where that T58 heavy was. And we managed to put a shot into him for 744 and pen him, and he just didn't spot us. We tried to get the shot into the side of the FV225 though, and well, that just didn't go to plan as we ended up doing track damage because he pulled back just in time. Watching for the CS59, but we don't quite have the shot of the CS59 because he's actually behind the ridge. We're just going to wait for the FV225 and see if, well, we're just going to see if he's actually going to be silly and drive straight back out in front of our gun, because you never know with people. You never know. Sometimes people go, okay, I nearly got hit for a bigger number there. I'm just not going to drive out around this corner anymore. I'm just going to run away and do something else. But sometimes they go, maybe I can chance it. And, well, naturally, you want to try and take advantage of that. So, we get spotted there, and that's because we moved. Naturally, our still concealment is a lot better than our on-the-move concealment. So the moment we move like that, if something comes into view of us that's got decent view range, they will end up spotting you, because obviously you've got 332 on the move concealment compared to 287. Because we moved, we got spotted. Wasn't quite sure what spotted us though, as I sat here going, what saw me? The FV225 definitely couldn't have caught a glimpse at me. The T58 didn't drive around the corner. The CS59 didn't poke over. And so they're going, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the light tank, but well, I guess we'll never. One of tank's mysteries. We get a shot into the side of the FV225, and I think that guy had 3 marks, so yeah, he was definitely not going to drive straight back out in front of our gun there. We managed to get the ambush shot into that FV225, though, because, again, I was watching him on the map. I was sitting there going, is he going to drive back into that gap? I would, having not found a real shot across the GHJK line, I'd probably come back into the middle area, or try and come into the middle area through that gap. So I just sat and waited. And thankfully for me, but it's naturally what you want to do in this kind of tank destroy, it's waiting for those opportunities to get shots and not just trying to force it at times. Also, sod's law. We tried to blind fire something through that wall. I wanted to knock the wall down, see if there was anything there. And T58 heavy drives straight back out. But yeah, it's all about patience. It's waiting for the opportunity to get the shot in, and also trying to calculate what the enemy team might do. That FV225, like I say, it looked like he might attempt it, and he did, and we got the shot in. We also get a shot into the T58 heavy side there, and that was risking it for a biscuit to try and get a shot into that T58 heavy. He wasn't there because we didn't spot him, so I decided I was going to push up a little bit more to be able to try and see if I could get the shot into that good guy if he actually came out, and also bait him into coming out, because he might go, oh, I can shoot the DBV, and that's exactly what happened. We did chance it, but it's also a bit more unlikely that the T58 Heavy was going to hit us in that scenario, because the T58 gun handling isn't that good, and his aim circle would have been massive, so he'd have been very lucky if he did hit us. But then again, we know what RNGesus is like. RNGesus still likes to absolutely laugh at you at times. So we go for the shot into the side of the CS59, and that's the type of shot I'm on about with the DBV-152, and that is where we had it mostly aimed on his side. It flew above the hull and missed. And he's sitting there going, really? You're a really accurate gun. Did you have to miss that? But then we hit a shot like that straight on the DBV-152. You know, that's what this gun is like. Sometimes you miss some silly shots, and sometimes you hit some stupid shots. And you sit there going, okay, whatever you want. Whatever you say, Mr. DBV. Whatever you say. So we get detected, and that's because we're now being proxy spotted by the FV-225. We're just too close to him. We risked it, really did risk it for a biscuit with the shot into the Sturm Tiger there, because again, we could have gone poof right there if he'd hit us, but we unfortunately hit the floor, didn't hit his lower plate, because naturally we couldn't sit there and aim it. We had to snap the shot. And even though, to be honest, it's one of those that we hit the floor, even though it was more likely that we would have hit anywhere on his tank, and yeah, we didn't get it. But we aim up for the CS-59 in case he was just going to drive back around the corner, and he did. That's what I'm on about. You never know in this game whether people will just decide, I'm going to drive back out in front of that big gun, or if they'll go, nope, absolutely not, I'm going to go somewhere else. And the CS-59 went, yeah, I'm going to drive back in front of that big gun. So we took the opportunity to put a big shot in. Now I've got the FV-215B with me. I think, well, okay, the FV-215B's with us. He might be able to get a shot into the CS-59 if he drives around that corner. The Batchat 25T missed his first shot. We put a shot into him. He puts a shot into us. That's the trades for you right there. He did, what, 390 damage, maybe less. We did 800. We also got hit by the Wheelie Boy, and thankfully the Wheelie Boy only did track damage, which he did shoot us on the move, so is what it is. We're up to 4.1k damage. The Sturm Tiger's gone into the middle. We, again, risk it for a biscuit, but it was a lot harder for him to hit that shot than it was for us to hit him, which is why I was a bit more confident in taking the opportunity to aim that shot into his lower plate, because he had the big stanchion in front of him, he had the wall next to me as well, so the likelihood he was a lot less likely to hit it. And that's the kind of shot I'm talking about with the DBV-152. That shot on the CS-59 earlier on flew straight above the CS-59, right? You sit there going, we had that guy dead to rights. That shot on the Progetto 65 never in a million years looked like it should have hit him. RNGesus, am I right? It giveth and it taketh. So we're going to aim down this corridor here to see if we can get a shot into the contender or the light tank. Thankfully, the contender snaps his shot and misses. We're going to aim up high and see if we can hit that cupola if he does drive back round. We go for it. Sadly, we hit the turret just in front of the cupola and we ricochet. But I don't feel like driving back out in front of that contender. He's in a god position for his tank. And me, I'm going to have to be very exposed and probably take a hit to dive to him. So, they've got two people in the cap. I hear a big boom and think, what was that fired? Was that the Sturm Tiger? Possibly not, because he's dead, because there's only one TD left and there was a Conway spotted. So I'm not 100% sure what is actually in that cap with two of them. I know one's a Conway, don't know what the other tank is. So we're going to slowly back up, and then we see the Batchat, snap the shot in. Yep, straight in. And this is how you want to play the DBV-152, by the way. If you're going over a ridgeline, exactly like this, because you are a rear-mounted turret, you want to point the turret over the back of the tank and slowly but surely creep over a ridgeline. Because by doing this, you can make it easier to get away quicker. Also, you don't have to quite expose too much of your tank to be able to get the gun down to get a shot into someone. Because naturally, if you're coming over front first, it's a lot slower for you to get back and get safe. But also, you're giving them your whole upper plate as then the turret to be able to hit them. So we see the Conway, we go, okay, this is easy. Aim up the shot. And again, we hit the shot on the Progetto 65. Whole upper plate to shoot on the Conway. We aimed a little bit too much to the right towards his track, but we still had the whole upper plate or the turret of the Conway, and we hit the track and blew the track off only. Yep. Yes, sir. That's, again, the DBV-152 gun. It's very, very good, but occasionally you just fire a shot and it misses like that, and you sit there going, really? 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 Thanks, tank. That was so nice of you. So they've got one tank left. It's the EBR-90. He's actually down in the corner, running straight into our whole team, which means we're not going to get there to get any more damage. But we finished the game with a really nice total there for the DBV-152. Again, on a map that's not the best for it in Pilsen. We finished the game with 3 kills, 6.3k damage, 1454 base XP. With the high caliber, the Confederate, and the first class there for the DBV-152 on Pilsen. A really nice game there for the tank. And again, just showing off what it's fully capable of in those peek-a-boom kind of games, where you just have to have the patience, you have to keep picking and choosing your moments to take shots, cut off choke points, cut off the crossing points as well, like you saw with the FV-225. We knew that if he decided that he didn't want to keep trying to fire stuff along the GHJK line, he could come back into the middle, and that would give him an option to come and try and find more shots into people. And so we waited, used the camo to stay unspotted, and as soon as he put around the corner, we put a big shot into him. And it was very much like that with quite a few of the shots we put in. It was just waiting for opportunities to do it. You don't want to push the tempo too much in this vehicle. You can, because you've got the Alpha to hit hard, but it's definitely a second line support vehicle where you are waiting for... It's just it's a stealthy turretless tank... Sorry, a stealthy turreted tank destroyer, right? That's the way these things play. It's waiting for the opportunities, setting up shop and going, okay, I'm going to have the opportunity to fire here. This will be nice. So we're on the fourth and final replay. We're on Westfield, and Westfield is the perfect kind of map for this tank. It's just like a Prokhorovka or a Malinovka, that sort of thing. Lots of bushes. The light tank finally moves forward, which means he can spot the CF-53-56 Wojciech, because that bush that was in front of us, where that light tank was, is not far enough forward. There's actually a bush that's a bit further forward that will spot everything as they are making that cross up the K-line. If you stay in the bush that was directly in front of me, you are just not far enough in front to be able to actually spot them making the cross. So we get 2 shots there into the side of that CS-53-56 Wojciech, which finishes him off, which I was quite surprised about. I thought someone else would have any shots at him, but they didn't. So we pick up our first kill of this game, just waiting for a shot into someone else, but unfortunately we don't get a shot into the Tiger Shark or into any of the other 2 light tanks that did actually make that cross before the light tank managed to spot any of them. They've also got the Barask at K5, which we do have to be careful of, because naturally we don't want to take a 1-2 tap from that guy. That wouldn't be a good time for us. So we're just going to back up into these bush locations to see if we can get into a better position to get easier shots at these guys on this line. The Tiger Shark got spotted up, so we put a big shot into the front of the Tiger Shark. 830 up was that? That was a pretty damn nice roll. Up to 2.1k damage. The T100LT is full sending out, which makes me think there's nothing more on that flank other than the Barask. So we're just trying to lead the shot into the T100LT, but we end up missing the shot. And once the Barask is dead, I can start moving forward to go find the other TDs. But in fact, we actually spot AWZ-111-5A. And hello, Mr. 5A. Aiming it up so that we can try and track and pen him, which we get the shot straight through there, damages his Amarak, tracking him there. And what we're going to do is keep poking through so we can see the guy where there's no concealment between us, and then get ourselves into a position where we can fire through the bushes where he's not going to spot us when we fire at him. So we fire it again. I was hoping to track him and pen him again, and we did, but I was hoping to possibly blow his Amarak. So we're not currently spotting him while we're not got the concealment between us. And I'm sitting there going, oh, he's just got himself safe. So I'm going to try and find a better position to find him. There we go. We've still got the bushes between us, which again makes my concealment that way bit better with the green thumb and stuff like that. And we managed to shut down the 111-5A without ever getting spotted. And again, we're up to 4,000 damage for 383 assistance, and we've never been spotted in this game so far, which is just really nice going. It's currently 14-8, which means their team is starting to crumble and collapse. So we're going to try and get into a position where we can get shots into the TDs and maybe the heavies along the C2 area. Because if they poke over on top of that ridgeline, we can get shots into them, and that's what we can see here with the MBTB. Put the shot in. Again, you can see the gun handling on this vehicle is very, very nice, and it does aim in super duper quickly, because the aim circle does bloom out a lot when you turn the turret and when you move. But again, with that 1.53 second aim time, it is very, very nice. So we go over, put a shot into the S-Fight there, 867, nice roll. 867, but that makes up for the 700-odd roll we had a minute ago. And we're up to 5.5k damage, 383 assistance damage. Waiting on the reload, looking and watching at what everybody is doing. Just going to see if we can get a shot into this E75, but again, he's actually behind the ridgeline, so we can't actually find the shot into that E75. There's a Campy Panzer behind us. We're going to aim the shot up. We end up firing and unfortunately missing him as we hit the floor, but the TNH TVZ-51 did shut him down. DBV shuts down the Minotauro. The MBTB actually shot us, which I didn't think he'd be looking our way, seeing as there's quite a few people there. But we do have shots into the rear of Mr. E75, which we slap him for 658. I suppose that's making up for some of the rolls we've had, right? That's a very low roll. The DBV-152 gets spotted at the back, which we're going to wait for the reload and see if we can poke forward to get a shot into him. But because he's spotted so high up, he gets absolutely mushed, and we don't get the chance to get another shot into him, leaving just the E75 and the MBTB left alive. So we're going to try our best to get into a position to shoot these guys in the rear and pick up another kill. But the MBTB gets shut down, the E75 then gets shut down, and we finish the game with a really nice total yet again for the DBV-152. Again, showing off what this tank is capable of on a nice map where you can use that concealment to good advantage. As we finish the game with the 6,234 damage, 616 assistance, the high caliber, the third class, with that 1157 base XP. Again, a pretty decent game there for the DBV-152 on Westfield. But yeah, that's the tank that you will get in the Ultimate Season Pass for 6,000 gold. Essentially 4,000 gold, as you do get 2,000 back for completing the Season Pass, plus maybe more if you get lucky with chests. And it's a very, very solid tank destroyer. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!